In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. My beloved God chosen. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you. So these words can reach you at this very moment. You know deep down this is not an accident. It is not coincidence. It is divine interruption. The Spirit of God has stepped into your timeline, drawing your attention to prepare you for what lies ahead. You have sensed it already. The tug inside, the unease that refuses to let you settle, the quiet voice that keeps whispering, something is coming. And now that whisper grows louder. It becomes an announcement from heaven. You are chosen, but you are not yet ready. Picture this. A blacksmith working over the fire, hammering raw metal again and again. The blows are harsh, the flames intense, but without them the metal would remain brittle, unfit for battle. You are that metal. Every trial, every tear, every sleepless night has been the heat of preparation. What you thought was punishment was actually shaping. I want you to see yourself through another image. A seed buried deep in the soil to the outside world. It looks hidden, forgotten, useless, but underground. Unseen roots are forming, reaching down to draw strength, making the seed ready to break the surface. That has been your story. You have been in the soil, in the unseen. And now God says the breaking forth is near. But before the sprouting comes, the final stretch of preparation. There was once a young man, another chosen one, who prayed for a breakthrough, but was met with silence. He thought God had overlooked him. But what he did not see was that God was closing doors to keep him safe, removing people from his life who would have sabotaged his destiny. The season felt like rejection, but it was protection. And when the moment came, he stepped into opportunities he could never have imagined, equipped with the strength born from waiting. That same pattern is at work in you right now. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verse 17. God did not lead them through the Philistine country, though that way was shorter. For God said, if they face war, they might return to Egypt. And this is your reminder. Sometimes God delays you. Sometimes He roots you, not because you are forgotten, but because you are not yet ready for the weight of the battle. His detours are mercy. His waiting is protection. What feels like postponement is in fact preparation. Chosen one, listen closely. You cannot face what is ahead with yesterday's faith. You cannot enter the next battle wearing yesterday's armor. God is calling you to shed the old, to lean deeper into His presence, to allow Him to strengthen what has grown weary. Do not mistake this moment as ordinary. Heaven has interrupted you to say, prepare now or be overwhelmed later. There is urgency in the Spirit. The door of mercy is open, but it will not stay open forever. Delay is dangerous. Complacency is costly. Yet here you are, being invited to step forward, to take your place in the divine story written for you before you were born. I must speak plainly. You are chosen to carry light in a world that is quickly darkening. That is why the battles against you have been so relentless. The enemy does not waste energy on the ordinary. He attacks what he fears, and he fears you because he knows what you are destined to become. Before we go further, I ask you if these words strike your spirit like lightning. If you know this message is for you, then mark this moment. Like this message, share it so another chosen one awakens, and subscribe so you do not drift away from the stream of what God is speaking. Then in the comments, write 777 as your prophetic declaration that you choose to align with God's perfect preparation. This is the first step, not the end, but the beginning. And the way you respond now determines how ready you will be for what comes next. So take this interruption as a holy signal. The same God who redirected Israel away from the shorter road is the same God guiding your steps. Now, if you feel delayed, understand it is divine strategy. You are being positioned, not punished. And when the moment comes, When the sky breaks open and your assignment is released, you will see why the waiting was necessary. Do not despise it. Do not rush it. Embrace it. For it is shaping you into a vessel heaven can trust. Chosen one, the message of the Spirit continues. You have heard it already. God has marked you. But He has also said that you are not yet ready. Do not mistake those words as rejection. They are confirmation that your story is not over. Readiness is not a denial of your calling. It is the shaping of your destiny. Think of a potter seated at his wheel, clay in his hands. He presses, pulls, and reshapes. The clay may collapse, and yet the potter does not discard it. He adds water, sets it again, and begins shaping with greater care. That is you in the hands of the Master. You feel the pressing, the spinning, the reshaping, and at times you cry out, why does life feel so unstable? It is because the potter refuses to let you harden before you are ready. The truth is simple yet difficult. Being chosen does not equal being prepared. You may carry fire in your spirit, but without discipline, that fire can consume you. You may have dreams and visions, but without wisdom, those dreams can overwhelm you. God whispers, not yet, not to diminish your value, but to ensure that when the weight of destiny rests upon your shoulders, you will not collapse under it. Consider the story of Israel in the wilderness, freed from Egypt by the mighty hand of God. They still carried the mindset of slaves. They had left bondage, but bondage had not yet left them. Every obstacle drew out fear. Every delay stirred complaint. Though chosen as a nation, they were not yet ready to walk in the fullness of promise. And so the wilderness became their classroom. It stripped away idols, tested loyalty, and revealed who would trust God above all else. That same principle applies to you. Freedom does not equal readiness. Calling does not equal maturity. God is patient enough to walk you through your wilderness so that when you step into the land of promise, you do not bring Egypt with you. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman who carried a vision of healing for her family. She prayed, fasted, and even declared the promises of God. But deep within her, bitterness lingered from years of betrayal. She wanted breakthrough, yet her heart was still chained to anger. God in His mercy delayed her moment of release. He sent people who challenged her, moments that exposed her pride, and seasons that forced her to forgive. It was painful. But when the day of breakthrough arrived, she was no longer carrying bitterness. She was carrying compassion. And with that compassion, she was able to minister healing not only to her family, but also to strangers who came across her path. That transformation was only possible because God said, not yet. I chosen one. Reflect on your own journey. How many doors you thought were opportunities but were shut before you could enter? How many times you asked, why not now? Every delay was heaven's protection. Every not yet was a shield keeping you from premature exposure. Readiness is more than skills. It is a posture of the heart. It is learning to trust when you do not see. It is obeying when it does not make sense. It is walking in faith when your feelings scream otherwise. You are in training, and the one training you seize the battles ahead, battles you cannot yet imagine. Let another image settle in your spirit. A tree in winter, its branch look bare, its life invisible. People walking by might assume it is dead, but beneath the soil, unseen roots are pushing deeper, anchoring it for the storms of spring. That is you. Outwardly, life may feel barren. Inwardly, your roots are gripping deeper into God. When the storms come, you will not fall because your unseen strength has been forged in hidden seasons. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 11. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. This is the foundation God insists on securing in you. Not charisma, not talent, not fleeting inspiration, but Christ alone. If He is your anchor, then no storm nor delay and no demonic opposition can remove you from the path set before you. So do not resent the season of not yet. It is evidence of God's care, not His neglect. He prepares those He loves. He shapes those He intends to use. And He will not rush the process, because rushing would ruin you. You stand now in the tension between calling and readiness. Embrace it. Let patience do its work. Yield to the potter's hand. For soon enough the words will shift from not yet to now. And when that moment comes, you will not just carry the title of chosen, you will carry the strength of the prepared chosen one. The veil begins to lift. The battles you have faced were never only about your emotions, your finances, or your relationships. They were spiritual battles hidden from ordinary eyes, yet targeted directly at your destiny. You wondered why the pressure was so heavy, why your nights were filled with restlessness, and why certain people turned against you without clear reason. The truth is this: the war against you has been invisible, but it has been real. Imagine standing on a stage where a spotlight shines directly on you. Everyone else is in shadow, but your light exposes you. That is how the spiritual realm sees you. Darkness recognizes your potential and panics. So, it has tried to wear you down before you ever step fully into your assignment. The repeated delays, the emotional exhaustion, even the sudden waves of doubt. These have been attempts to silence you before your voice carries. But let me remind you, your suffering has not been wasted. What felt like crushing was actually the sharpening of your spiritual senses. You have been forced to rely on God in ways others do not understand, and in doing so you have gained eyes to see what others cannot. There was once a young leader who carried a vision for his community. Yet every time he tried to build, something collapsed. People betrayed him. Plan dissolved and resources dried up. At first he thought it was bad luck. Later he realized it was resistance from the unseen. The more he pressed into prayer, the clearer the attacks became. He noticed the patterns confusion would always strike right before breakthrough. Discouragement would always whisper when progress was near. And through this awareness, he grew strong. He stopped blaming people and started confronting the true enemy. His story mirrors your own. The Word of God declares in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." No, chosen one. This truth explains so much of your journey. The conflicts with friends, the betrayals, the misunderstandings, they were symptoms, not the root. The root has been spiritual warfare. And though you may have felt weak at times, the very fact that you are still here, still breathing, still listening, is proof that darkness has failed to destroy you. Let me paint another image for you, a diamond being cut. Each strike against the stone seems harsh, unnecessary, even cruel. But only through the precise blows does the diamond reveal its brilliance. That is you. The enemy thought the strikes would destroy you, but in reality, every strike has only shaped you into a vessel that reflects light more brightly. Now, I must ask you to do something small yet deeply significant. In the comments, type "I see truth." Write it as your declaration. Why? Because naming the hidden battle is part of breaking its power. When you put those words into the open, you are saying, "I will no longer be deceived. I understand what is happening. I choose clarity over confusion." Do not underestimate this act. For years, you may have blamed yourself or others, but by declaring that you see truth, you align with heaven's perspective. And when you see as God sees, you walk differently. You carry authority instead of fear. Chosen one, let this settle deep. You are not crazy. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are under attack because you carry a mantle that threatens darkness. And even now, while you may feel bruised, you are being prepared for greater strength. Hidden battles reveal hidden power. The more you understand the war, the more you learn how to win it. So lift your head. Do not waste time asking, why me? Instead, realize the answer, because you are chosen, and chosen ones always draw fire. But fire cannot consume what God Himself has sealed. Understand this. Every fiery dart the enemy has thrown was meant to convince you that you are weak. But in reality, those same attacks became the very training ground where you discovered endurance. Without the resistance, you would not have learned how strong you truly are in God. Think of an athlete who only grows stronger by lifting heavier weights. The pressure is not pleasant, but it builds the capacity for victory. Likewise, your unseen battles have stretched your spirit, enlarged your faith, and prepared you to carry a mantle that ordinary people could not bear. Chosen one, the weight of destiny rests upon you like an invisible garment. At times you have felt it without understanding why. It presses against your spirit, making you restless when others are comfortable, stirring questions in you that others never ask, pulling you into solitude when others are content with noise. That heaviness is not a burden of failure, it is the cloak of calling. Consider the prophet Jeremiah. From his youth, the word of the Lord burned in his bones. He could not live like others. He could not remain silent because destiny had marked him. You too have felt that burning. Others may dismiss it as overthinking, sensitivity, or even weakness. But in truth, it is evidence that heaven has placed a demand on your life. Destiny is not light. It weighs on you because it matters. Think of a soldier carrying armor. The first time he wears it, the weight feels unbearable. Every step is slow, every motion restricted. Yet over time his body adjusts, and the same armor that once felt heavy becomes second nature. So it is with your calling. At first it feels overwhelming, but as you grow, what was once heavy will fit you perfectly. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a crown forged of gold and precious stones. Beautiful, yes, but also heavy. The weight presses against the head of the one who wears it, leaving marks on the skin. That is destiny. It is glorious, but it leaves its mark. You cannot carry it without feeling its pressure. There was once a man gifted with vision beyond his years. He could see solutions to problems others overlooked. But because of this gift, he often felt isolated. People mocked him, doubted him, and even rejected his ideas. He wondered if something was wrong with him. Only later did he realize the rejection was not proof of weakness, but proof that he carried something heavier than the rest. His difference was divine evidence. Your own difference is the same. Chosen one. This explains why you have often felt misunderstood. People cannot always see the weight you carry. To them, you are ordinary. To you, life feels extraordinary. Every decision heavy, every mistake costly, every moment significant. You are not imagining it. You are carrying destiny, and destiny is weight. The writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 55, verse 22, remind us, cast your burden on the Lord and He will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. 2, this word reveals the balance. Yes, the weight is real. Yes, it presses on your shoulders, but you were never meant to carry it alone. The one who called you also upholds you. The weight that crushes others will not crush you because the Lord Himself sustains you. Now I want you to see how this plays out in your life. When you feel restless at night, unable to sleep because of the thoughts racing in your mind, that is the mark of destiny. When ordinary pleasures no longer satisfy you, while others are content with shallow pursuits, that is the mark of destiny. When you feel grief over brokenness in the world that others overlook, that is the mark of destiny. It is proof that you are not called to blend in. Let another image sink into your spirit. A torchbearer in a dark cave. The torch is heavy, its flame hot, and carrying it requires steady hands. Yet without it, everyone behind would stumble in darkness. That is you. You may feel the weight, but your light is guiding others who cannot see. This is why your life feels costly. This is why you cannot afford compromise like others. This is why mistakes sting so deeply. You are carrying something holy, and heaven requires you to steward it well. Do not resent the heaviness. Do not confuse it with punishment. The heaviness is the sign you are trusted. God does not place armor on those who will run. He places it on those who will endure. He does not crown those who fear the weight. He crowns those willing to bear it. Chosen one, the weight of destiny will not destroy you. It will train you. It will press you into deeper dependence on God. It will strip away pride and strengthen humility. It will sharpen your vision and refine your endurance. The very heaviness you feel is proof that heaven sees you as trustworthy. So walk forward with resolve. Let the weight settle on your shoulders. It will not crush you. It will crown you. Chosen one. The sound of heaven grows louder. It is like a trumpet in the distance calling you to wake up. You cannot delay anymore. You cannot linger in hesitation. The season of drifting is over. God is calling you to rise. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now. Think of a city at night when the sirens suddenly echo through the streets. Everyone stops. Everyone looks. Everyone senses urgency. That is what the Spirit is doing with you right now. Heaven's trumpet is sounding in your direction. It is not a sound for the crowd. It is a signal for you. For too long you have carried questions. When will my time come? Why am I always waiting? And perhaps you even tried to quiet those questions by blending in, by settling for comfort, by hiding what you felt. But God refuses to let you stay asleep. The trumpet is heaven's mercy shaking you before it is too late. Let me give you another image. Imagine someone trapped in a burning building. Smoke fills the halls, flames creep closer, and the person grows drowsy from the fumes. Suddenly, a fire alarm pierces the silence. That alarm is harsh. It interrupts comfort, but it saves the life of the one who hears it. Chosen one. This message is that alarm. It may shake you. It may feel intense, but it comes to save, not to harm. There was once a woman who ignored the gentle nudges of God. She always said, I will change tomorrow. Tomorrow kept coming, but nothing shifted. Then came a moment where the Spirit shook her so strongly, she could not ignore it anymore. She broke away from distractions, surrendered her will, and the course of her life shifted forever. That same shaking is happening with you now. The prophet Hosea once wrote with piercing clarity, chapter 10, verse 12. So sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground. For it is time to seek the Lord until He comes and showers His righteousness on you. It is time to seek Him with all your heart, to let go of delay, to wake up to destiny. You may feel unready, but remember, God never calls the perfect. He perfects the called, chosen one. Let me speak to your heart plainly. Messages like this are not just words. They are part of a divine mission to awaken as many chosen ones as possible. And here is where I must open my heart to you. This mission moves forward not only by prayer and obedience, but also by the generosity of those who believe in it. Think of a lighthouse on the shore. Its light cuts through storms, guiding ships away from danger. But that light only shines because someone tends the flame. Someone supplies the oil. Without oil, the lighthouse goes dark and countless lives are lost at sea. This channel, these messages are like that lighthouse. And the oil that keeps it burning is the support of people who choose to give. Every act of response matters. When you like this message, it is like placing a stone on an altar saying, yes, I receive this word. And when you share, it is like carrying a torch into another dark room, igniting light for someone who has been stumbling in silence. When you subscribe, it is like choosing to remain near the campfire, so the flame of truth keeps warming your soul night after night. And when you donate, it is like pouring fresh oil into the lamp of a lighthouse, ensuring its light will never fade, guiding countless souls through the storm. None of these are demanded. They are invitations. Each is a way of saying, I will not just hear the trumpet, I will help it sound louder for others. May. So if this message has touched you, let your response be free, not pressured. If you like and share, you carry the trumpet sound to someone else who needs it. If you subscribe, you keep yourself close to the ongoing fire of encouragement. And if you feel led to donate, let it be a seed planted in faith. A seed that will grow into light for many others. Chosen one, the trumpet is sounding. Heaven is awakening you. Do not ignore it. Do not return to sleep. Step into this moment with both surrender and courage. You will look back one day and realize that this was not just another video, another message. This was the alarm that saved you, the trumpet that called you, the moment that marked the beginning of your rise. The door of delay is closing, the gate of destiny is opening, and you are being summoned to walk through it. Chosen one, the refining fire has been burning around you. At times it has felt unbearable. You wondered if the intensity meant God had abandoned you. But hear this clearly. The fire is not rejection. It is transformation. You are not being consumed. You are being refined. Gold does not complain when it is placed in the furnace. It simply submits to the process. The heat does not destroy the gold. It burns away the impurities, leaving behind something purer, stronger, and more valuable. That is your life right now. The trials you face are not to ruin you, but to reveal you. Think of the blacksmith once again. He does not waste fire on useless metal. He invests fire into what he knows is worth shaping. You chosen one are worth the fire. That is why your seasons have been so intense. It is not because you are cursed. It is because heaven sees value in you too great to leave unrefined. Let me tell you the story of a young woman who carried a calling to teach and inspire others. She was gifted, but she was also prideful. She depended on her natural talent more than her intimacy with God. Because of this, her first steps into ministry collapsed. Heartbroken, she entered a long season where everything she touched seemed to fail. At first, she thought God was punishing her, but in the quiet, she realized the failures were fire. They were burning away self-reliance and teaching her to depend fully on God. Years later, when her voice rose again, it carried not only talent, but also humility and anointing that would never have been possible without the refining fire. Chosen one, you too are walking through this furnace. You have asked why relationships ended, why doors closed, why life took turns you did not expect. It was the fire. Every disappointment was burning away false attachments. Every loss was exposing what you thought you needed, but truly did not. Every delay was stripping away pride and forcing your roots deeper into God. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Zechariah. Chapter 13, verse 9. This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name and I will answer them. I will say they are my people, and they will say the Lord is our God. Do you see it? Refining fire is not abandonment. It is belonging. The fire is proof that you are His. If you were not chosen, you would not be refined. Picture a sculptor working with marble. Every strike of the chisel seems violent. Chips of stone fall away. The block shrinks. The shape changes to the untrained eye. It looks like destruction, but the sculptor sees the form hidden inside the stone. Each strike is precision, not punishment. In the same way, the losses and cuts in your life are not random. They are heaven sculpting. I must remind you, do not despise the fire. It is preparing you for what is coming. Without refinement, glory would crush you. Without shaping, destiny would break you. But with it, you will be ready. Chosen one, Here is where I ask you to take a small but prophetic step. In the comments, write the number 222. Why this number? Because it represents divine alignment, agreement, and the witness of God's hand moving in your life. By writing it, you are declaring, I will not run from the fire. I will walk in alignment with God's refining work. It is not superstition, it is symbolism. It is a way of marking your agreement with heaven's process. When you type 222, you are saying, I accept the refining. I will not resist the shaping. I will let the fire prepare me. Let this act be your way of placing your life back on the altar, trusting that God knows exactly what He is doing in your story. Chosen one, the refining fire will not last forever. Just as dawn follows night, so will glory follow suffering. What you lose now is making room for what you will gain later. The furnace does not last forever. It ends when the gold shines. And soon you will shine. And when that moment arrives, you will look back and see the fire differently. What once felt like loss will appear as gain. What once felt like breaking will reveal itself as building. Every flame carried purpose. Every strike carried intention. So hold steady, chosen one. Do not despise the waiting. Do not curse the heat. For in the fire, you are being formed into someone the world cannot ignore and hell cannot destroy. Chosen one. Have you noticed how the atmosphere around you seems to shift without warning? People who once supported you suddenly grow distant. Opportunities that seemed certain vanish overnight. And the struggles you face appear almost calculated, as if something unseen is orchestrating resistance against you. This is not coincidence. It is evidence that the enemy senses your awakening and his camp trembles. Darkness fears light. Even the smallest flame exposes what has been hidden in shadows for years. And you, chosen one, carry a flame far greater than you realize. Your very presence unsettles the plans of the enemy. This is why in certain rooms you feel tension without explanation. This is why you are often the target of jealousy, gossip, or unprovoked hostility. The enemy panics because your awakening signals the collapse of his schemes. Consider a fortress built on lies. As long as no light shines, the fortress stands secure. But when a single crack of light enters, the walls begin to crumble. That is what is happening when you step into alignment with God's plan. Your obedience alone is a weapon. Your prayers shake foundations. Your worship pierces atmospheres. There was once a man who, without realizing it, carried such authority in the spirit that every time he entered a workplace, conflict erupted. He thought he was the problem, that maybe he was cursed. But over time he realized it was not him. It was the light in him. Darkness resisted because his very presence disrupted what had been hidden. Chosen one, the same is true for you. The writings in the book of James chapter 4 verse 7. Remind us, submit yourselves. Then to God resist the devil and he will flee from you. Notice the order. Submission comes first, then resistance, then victory. You do not fight in your own strength. You fight by yielding to God. And in that surrender, you become untouchable. The devil flees not because of your power, but because of the authority of the one who covers you. Think of a lion pacing in a cage. It roars. It shows its teeth. It shakes the bars. But it cannot devour you. That is the enemy now. He makes noise. He stirs fear. He tries to distract. But the truth is, he has already been defeated. His panic is not a sign of his strength. It is a sign of his desperation. And yet do not underestimate him. A cornered enemy still strikes. His goal is not to destroy what God has promised, for he cannot. His goal is to convince you to give up before you arrive. His weapons are lies, confusion, delay, and discouragement. That is why your clarity must increase. Imagine walking through a foggy valley. Shapes appear distorted. paths look uncertain and every step feels risky, that is the effect of the enemy's confusion. But as soon as light pierces the fog, the path is clear. This is why your awakening terrifies him. Because once you see clearly, you cannot be stopped. Chosen one, understand this. The enemy's panic is not random. It is timed. He senses shifts in the spirit even before you fully recognize them. He knows when you are on the edge of breakthrough. And that is when attacks intensify. If you feel the pressure heavier now than ever before, it is because you are closer to crossing into new territory. His panic is a backhanded confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Let me remind you with another image. A thief never breaks into an empty house. He comes where treasure is stored. You are that treasure. The very fact that you have been under constant attack is proof that you hold something worth stealing. But the enemy cannot have it. You are sealed. So do not shrink back when you feel resistance. Do not assume the pressure means you are failing. The opposite is true. The pressure means you are advancing. If you were no threat, there would be no battle. But you are chosen, and your rise is shaking foundations. Chosen one, lift your head, see the pattern for what it is. The enemy panics because heaven has already spoken your name. The light within you cannot be extinguished. The only strategy left for darkness is to distract you, to convince you to step back, but you will not. The refining has already made you stronger, and the trumpet has already awakened you. You are advancing, and nothing can stop what God has begun. And when you finally step forward without hesitation, the enemy's panic will give way to retreat. The walls that once intimidated you will collapse, and you will see clearly. Every attack was proof that your destiny is unstoppable. Chosen one, you can feel it. Time itself is pressing in. The day seems shorter, the urgency sharper, and the sense of waiting is no longer tolerable. This is what I call mercy's countdown. Heaven is giving you moments of grace. Yet those moments are not endless. They are a sacred window. And once it closes, it cannot be reopened. Think of sand in an hourglass. Grain after grain falls almost unnoticed at first. But as the sand nears the bottom, you begin to realize there is not much left. That is how divine timing works in your life. The grains of mercy are falling. You cannot flip the glass. You cannot delay forever. And God is speaking. Now is the time. Some of you have already felt this countdown in your spirit. Sleep no longer refreshes you because your soul is restless. Distractions no longer satisfy you because your heart longs for more. Even in crowds, you feel an emptiness that whispers, this is not where you belong. That inner stirring is heaven's clock, ticking louder and louder. Remember Israel in the wilderness. They had a set window to step into the promised land, but fear and rebellion closed the door for an entire generation. Only those willing to respond to God's timing entered in. This is not to strike fear in you, but to awaken you. Opportunity is not eternal. Grace invites, but if ignored, it can pass. The writings in the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11, speak with clarity. The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. This is your alarm clock in the spirit. To sleep through it is dangerous. To ignore it is costly. You cannot assume there will always be another chance. Let me share a story. There was once a man who always felt the nudge to step into his purpose. He dreamed of helping others, of building something that would outlive him. Yet every time he heard the call, he said, tomorrow I will start tomorrow. Years passed. His tomorrow never came. By the time he looked back, the opportunities had slipped away. And though God still loved him, the harvest he was meant to bring forth had been left unplanted. That story is not meant to condemn you, but to warn you. Do not waste the days. Do not let mercy's countdown pass you by. Chosen one. Mercy is not weakness. Mercy is power, giving you space to choose. But mercy does not hover forever. Think of the ark in Noah's day. The door stayed open until the rain began. But once God closed the door, no amount of knocking could reopen it. That is the gravity of timing. Are in your window now. And here is the truth. The countdown is not meant to terrify you, but to propel you. When you sense urgency, you act with greater focus. A runner nearing the finish line pushes harder, not because he despises the race, but because he knows the end is near. So it is with your life right now. Heaven is telling you, press in, move forward, awaken fully, consider another image, a candle burning low. At first the flame dances tall with wax to spare, but as it burns down, the wick shortens and the flame grows weaker. If you do not act soon, it goes out. That candle represents the urgency of your choices. Each delay drains the wax. Each distraction shortens the wick. But if you respond now, your flame can be replenished, your oil renewed. This is why you feel heaven stirring so strongly lately. You cannot keep living as if you have endless time. God is calling you to take the steps now that will anchor your destiny. Chosen one. I know the weight of this may feel heavy. You may even ask, am I too late already? Hear me clearly if you are hearing this message. You are not too late. The very fact that heaven interrupts you with these words means mercy is still available, but it will not always be. So understand this countdown as a gift. It is not judgment chasing you. It is love guiding you. It is God saying, I want you ready. I want you strong. I want you positioned for what comes next. Do not despise the urgency you feel. It is heaven's reminder that you are meant to live awake, not asleep. And if you embrace this moment, you will look back and thank God that He did not let you miss your window, chosen one. The clock is ticking, but grace is still speaking. The grains of sand are falling, but your story is not finished. Use this time wisely. Use it to draw close, to prepare, to align. For when mercy's countdown ends, you will be ready, not caught unaware. Chosen one. When heaven begins to release instructions, they do not always come in thunder or lightning. Often they arrive as whispers. A dream in the night that lingers long after you wake. A verse that burns in your heart stronger than usual. A thought that repeats until you cannot ignore it. These are not accidents. They are divine strategies being handed to you. You have been asking, Lord, what do I do next? How do I prepare? The answers are already coming, but sometimes you miss them because you expect God to shout when in reality, He often speaks softly. Consider the prophet Elijah on the mountain. There was wind, there was earthquake, there was fire, but the Lord was not in those. Instead, He came in a gentle whisper. That whisper carried more power than the shaking of the earth. So it is with you. The instructions you seek may not come with spectacle, but they will carry authority. Think of an architect drawing blueprints. The design looks simple on paper, but it holds the entire plan for a building that will stand for generations. God is handing you blueprints in the Spirit. Strategies that look small now, but will shape your future. A single word of guidance, if obeyed, can change decades of your life. There was once a man who kept a small journal beside his bed. Night after night, he would dream of paths, doors, and voices. At first, he dismissed them. Later, he began to write them down. Over the years, those fragments formed a pattern. They became a map for his calling. When he looked back, he realized God had been giving instructions all along. He simply needed to pay attention. The writings in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6. Declare in all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. This is the principle. Surrender leads to direction. When you submit even the smallest details of your life, God aligns your path. When you lean on Him, instead of your own understanding, you stop wandering in circles. Chosen one. Some of the dreams you thought were random are actually assignments. Some of the interruptions you thought were inconveniences were actually redirections. Some of the people you met by chance were divine connections placed in your path. Heaven has been instructing you quietly, and now your eyes must open to recognize it. Imagine standing in a dark forest with only a lantern. The lantern does not light the entire path. It only illuminates a few steps ahead. But if you trust the light and keep walking step by step, you eventually reach your destination. That is how God's instructions work. They may not reveal the whole journey, but they are enough to get you through. And now, chosen one, I ask you to take a prophetic step of agreement. In the comments, type "I will listen." Just 3 words. Write it as your declaration. Why? Because it shifts you from passivity to attentiveness. When you say, "I will listen," you are announcing that you will no longer dismiss the whispers of God. Do not underestimate this act. Many walk through life deaf to divine strategy. But you are different. By declaring those words, you are opening your spirit to receive instructions with fresh clarity. You are telling heaven, "I am ready to hear, and I will not ignore what you speak." Oh, chosen one. Heaven's instructions are already surrounding you. The question is not whether God is speaking. The question is whether you will recognize and respond. Let your heart posture be readiness. Let your spirit remain awake. For the whispers you obey today will prepare you for the storms and victories of tomorrow. The whispers of God often come at unexpected times while you wash dishes, while you walk down the street, or even in the stillness between your thoughts. Do not despise these gentle moments. They are like golden threads, weaving your ordinary days into an extraordinary destiny. If you ignore them, you may miss the very guidance that leads to breakthrough. Think of how a sailor navigates at night. He does not need the entire sky to light up. He watches for a single star and adjusts his course by it. One small point of light is enough to keep him from drifting off course. So it is with you. One instruction from God can anchor your path and save you years of wandering. Chosen one, train your heart to notice the small signs. Pay attention to repeated words, unexpected pauses, or sudden peace that comes when you think about a certain decision. These are not random, they are signals. They are heaven's way of saying, "This is the way, walk in it." All chosen one, the weight of this moment cannot be ignored. You are standing at a crossroad where every step matters. This is not about fear, it is about clarity. God is showing you that obedience has a price, and so does disobedience. One path leads to life, the other to loss. And the Spirit is saying, choose carefully. Think of a farmer standing with seed in his hand. He can keep the seed in his pocket, comfortable and safe. But in doing so, it will never grow. Or he can release it into the soil, trusting that though it disappears for a season, it will return, multiplied. Every act of obedience is like that seed. It feels costly, but it carries harvest. Every act of disobedience is like refusing to plant, leaving the soil barren. The prophet Haggai once proclaimed, chapter 1, verse 7. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. This is the choice before you, chosen one. Heaven does not force your hand, but it does place weight on your decision. To ignore God's direction is to close your eyes on purpose. To obey Him is to walk into light. Even when the road is narrow. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who felt a deep call to step into ministry, but the cost frightened him. Idiot convinced he would obey when life settled down. Years passed. Opportunities came and went. He built his own kingdom, but it never satisfied. Only when he surrendered did he realize that all his delays had cost him joy. His story is a warning. You cannot postpone obedience without paying a price. And yet I must remind you, obedience is not only about what you lose. It is also about what you gain. Every step you take in alignment with God unlocks doors no human could open. Every sacrifice you make becomes seed for an inheritance bigger than yourself. Chosen one. This is why I must speak to you from the heart about something important. These messages, this flow of encouragement are not just random words. They are oil for weary souls, light for those who walk in shadow. And here is the truth. Light does not sustain itself. It requires tending. Imagine a great bonfire on a cold night. The fire warms everyone who gathers near, giving hope and comfort. But the fire only lasts if someone continues to add wood without fresh logs. The flames eventually fade. This channel is like that bonfire. The encouragement, the warnings, the reminders. They burn bright, but only because faithful hands add fuel when you like. It is like placing a drop of oil into a lamp, small, yet enough to keep the flame alive. When you share, it is like sending a dove across the waters, carrying hope to someone still searching for dry land. When you subscribe, it is like planting your tent near the fire of revival, ensuring warmth and light will never leave your side. And when you donate, it is like pouring water into a well that never runs dry, so that generations after you can drink freely and live. Do you see, chosen one? None of this is demanded. It is never forced. It is an invitation, a way for you to say, I want this flame to keep burning. Not just for me, but for those still wandering. Giving becomes not a burden, but a privilege to join in tending the fire of awakening. Another picture. Think of a garden planted in barren land. If no one waters it, the soil cracks and the seed dies. But if hands pour water faithfully, life bursts forth, flowers bloom, fruit appears, and shade covers those who pass by. Your response is add water. It is what allows the garden to flourish. Not just for you, but for everyone who will one day find rest beneath its branches. Chosen one. Your choice to like, share, subscribe, or even donate is not about obligation. It is about multiplying light. It is about saying, this flame has touched me and I want others to feel it too. Do not underestimate the ripple of your response. One share could awaken someone at the edge of giving up. One donation could keep the flame burning long enough to reach another chosen one who feels forgotten. Each act is a seed that carries eternal weight. So as you hear this, let your heart lead you. If you feel stirred, respond. If you feel called, give. If all you can do is type a comment of agreement, that too is fuel. What matters is not the size of the act, but the sincerity behind it. Chosen one, obedience costs, but it also crowns. What you give up in the moment multiplies in eternity. What you sow in faith returns in joy. And every choice, no matter how small, is another step toward the destiny written for you before time began. Chosen one, the time has come for clarity to pierce through what once blinded you. For too long, distractions have swirled around you like dust in the wind, clouding your vision and dulling your focus. These distractions were not always sinful in appearance. Many of them came disguised as good things. But anything that steals your gaze from God, no matter how innocent it looks, is a trap. The enemy is subtle. He rarely places chains openly before you. Instead, he offers glittering ropes that feel soft but tighten over time. A relationship that promises comfort but drains your soul. An opportunity that looks promising but slowly erodes your integrity. A habit that feels harmless yet slowly consumes your strength. These are the unmaskings God is performing in your life right now. Think of a magician's trick. While one hand moves visibly distracting the audience, the other hand hides the true act. That is how the enemy works. He uses distraction to pull your attention away while planting seeds of compromise in your blind spots. But God in His mercy is pulling back the curtain. He is showing you what is really at work.